And we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat. And tonight, I'm joined by none other than Mr. Ryan Bortz, Blue Collar Fishing. What's going on, brother?
Hanging out, working on planer boards, buddy. Getting ready for the next fishing trip.
I don't know if I could think of anyone else in the community that is busier than you.
I stay pretty busy. It's
between the planer board business, the online tournament circuit that you're in, and the YouTube footage and content that you put together, I can't think of too many people that can burn the candle at both ends and in the middle and keep it going.
There's a lack of sleep there sometimes.
Well, I can only imagine. Well, welcome in, buddy. We'll get things started here real quick. We'll give everybody a minute to come on in, grab a seat, and I'm sure we're going to have a good time tonight. But first in the house tonight was Sampy. Welcome in, Mike Sampson. Crappie Day Darren's in the house as well as Wabash Nate. Catch fish with us, supporting us and sharing us out today. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping in. Mike's Fishing Home, man. I haven't seen Mike in a long time. Miss V is in the house. You know, you wouldn't have one without the other. Two peas in a pod right there. Those guys sharing an anniversary here recently. But we welcome you guys in as we get things kicked off and rocking and rolling. And, man, Ryan, I got all kinds of stuff that I've been thinking about talking to you tonight as far as the online league, your adventures there, taking off on a
What's that?
A YouTube cutting ties with you know, your standard 9-to-5 work stuff and chasing your passion. Your affiliation with the demo. You have got a lot going on. So we got a lot to talk about. John Boy's in the house. Welcome in. Hey, my mama's here. Linda Mint. Mom, thanks for stopping in. Hope you're feeling better. She's on a slow mend, but she's putting one foot in front of the other. So I know she's been feel a little under the weather lately. So I hope you're a little bit better. We've been out doing a little bit of fishing this weekend. It's been a long time since I don't know if I'm breaking up or you are. You breaking up on my end, but to everyone else, it might be me breaking up. See, I was having some connection issues in the beginning, and the computer. Y'all in chat, let us know if I'm breaking up or is Ryan breaking up.
You're breaking up on my end, but I don't know if it's.
Yep, they're saying I think it's Catchfish with us says that sounds like my end. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me see if I can. When I get home, I kick everybody off the Wi-Fi just to try to make sure we got enough broadband to broadcast everything, get it going. Muskrat's the glitch. All right, so we just I think it looks like it just kicked up a little bit for signal, so we'll keep going here for a minute and we'll see if we can keep things on track. But thank you guys for keeping an eye on. Greg Burgess is in the house. Welcome in. Newbies Catfishing. What's up, buddy? Or Nubbies. So, Ryan, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, good. So, first of all, I mean, I think you'd have to have been under a rock somewhere for a long time to not know who Ryan Bortz is. But, Ryan, if you could, just kind of tell everybody where you're from. I mean, everybody knows your name and what you're all about, but kind of tell everybody where you're from. And I honestly would like to know what got you into a kayak and what got you into YouTube.
So it's all a pretty long story. I mean, it's
hey, we got all the time in the world, brother.
I grew up fishing down in the Tennessee-Kentucky border down there, Cumberland Gap. I grew up bass fishing, food fishing with my papa. You know, it was catch it and eat it kind of deal. If it didn't matter what it was, if it hit the deck, if it was legal, it was going in the live well. And we were probably eating it before the week was out. And So I went down the hard road with my drug addiction and all that, and kind of got away from it. And when I came to where I live now here in central Kentucky, I went through the Isaiah House, went through treatment. And the guy that was actually my, I guess you would call it my, kind of like a line leader or crew foreman, was a kayak fisherman. He went out on the weekends and fished for whatever. And, he might catch 2 or 3 fish and eat all 3 of them. But
Yeah.
He talked me into going out on a kayak with him one day after I got out of the program and got into the sober living program and was kind of out on my own. I went out and fished with him, Jeremy Rogers, and we went out, fished that day, come back, and he said, well, what do you think about it? And I was like, man, I love it. It's way better than beating the banks on these farm ponds that I've been going to, catching bluegill and stuff. And he said, well, I'm going to buy an extra kayak, and I'll have it if you ever just want to use it, you can come get it. I said, well, I can't afford to buy one, but I'll put $100 toward it, and I was making $7.25 an hour. So $100 was the majority of my paycheck.
Absolutely.
And I did that. He showed up the next day, and I was actually doing a side job working on some brakes for a guy, and he pulled up out there and, well, here's the kayak, check it out, see what you think. I checked it out. We went out the next day, fished a little while. He said, well, how you like that kayak? I said, man, I love it. He said, well, you owe me $300 more. I said, well, I can't give it to you right now. I said, but I'll make you payments. So I paid him like $25 to $50 a week when I'd get paid, and got that paid off. And I got at a little local lake down here one day by myself, and I was taking creek chubs and catching bass out of some brush. Well, I started catching some like 10, 15-pound channel cats. Posted those to Facebook and the local lake fishing page. And a guy that actually started our tournament trail now, I made a post about him the other day, Shane Waldridge, Shano.
Yeah.
He was a kayak catfish guy, unheard of at the time, like Justin Johnson was the only one anybody knew of that did it. And I didn't have a clue who he was at the time. And he seen the pictures and started messaging me. Hey, man, I'm going to have a free tournament for kayaks down here at Taylorsville Lake. We're giving away some gift cards and this and that and the other. And all you need is a measuring board. It can be homemade or whatever. And so I went down there. I think I had a 30-inch Rapala board, something like that. Went down there, and my brother came in from out of town, and one of my other buddies that I worked with went with me, and I went down there and won this tournament. And, I had the big head. I was walking around, bass guy come down here and whooped up on y'all catfish guys, and you know how that goes. And Shano, the one that had put it on, he said, now let me take you out and put you on a real fish. And I said, all right. So we went out the next weekend. He put me on a 20-pounder, and I was hooked. I was ready to sell my bass gear and straight in all in catfishing. Next thing I knew, I think we lost Roger. But the next thing I knew, I was looking for catfish gear and mountain rod holders to a kayak. I don't know if we lost Roger or not, y'all. I can't. I'm looking at chat. I can't even see chat.
You can't?
No. Log into it and go to Muskrat stream and mute it. I don't know if he logged out to log back in or what. Chad, I can't even see what y'all are saying, so. Oh, I can now. Oh, he froze and dropped out. So I guess I'm the show now. Can y'all still hear me in chat? Oh, they can still hear me, so.
So I don't need to do this? Good.
All right, so where was I at?
Selling your bass gear.
Yeah, I was just ready to sell my bass gear and go all in on the catfishing thing. So I get into that a little bit, and I go out and I buy like 10-foot bank rods and some cheap Abu Garcia reels and the cheap Chinese ones, and get that. I'm out there trying to catfish, so I start watching people like. So I start watching people like Justin Johnson and Spencer Bauer, and I don't know who all. Catfish Dave, as bad as I hate to admit it, watching all these guys. Steve Douglas was a big one I watched. Watching all these people. Chris Souders giving gear tips. I remember he did Tackle Tip Tuesday for a long time, and that's where I found what gear I wanted most of the time was Souders' tackle tips. And so Shane starts doing these tournaments like once a month. A couple people are buying Bass Pro gift cards. I mean, it's for bragging rights, and I get into that. Well, I'm out there, every weekend just hammering on it, trying to figure this out, skunking most of the time. And so we start a actual tournament series during all this, where it's $25 entry fee. We submit our pictures to a Facebook post on a Facebook group. I mean, completely old school. And just bare bones, me and Shane's adding up scores at the end of the month with pencil and paper and doing live streams for the winners. And I start doing real well in that. And then COVID hits. So then everything goes to online. And we end up. Are you back, Roger?
I think I'm back. I don't know what happened.
I got you now. But I just kept going with the story. I mean,
No, that's good. I've heard the story, but I thought it was great, and I wanted everyone else to get a part of it.
But all that brought us to where the kayak catfishing tournament sport's at now, which is we have a complete national trail. We go. We had 9 stops this year. I think it's 5 different states, if I'm not wrong. We do Sandusky. We did one in Louisiana recently. Our next one's at Santee Cooper. We had 2 on the Tennessee River. We did 2 in Alabama, the Tennessee River with those, 2 in Tennessee on the Tennessee River. Another one at Hoover in Ohio. And now next year, since we've got Adam Flegel that joined our tournaments this year, and he's from out in Kansas. So he said, well, we should really do a tournament out that way. And I mean, the trail was already set for this year. So they've changed that up now. As of now, it's not set in stone, but we're going to do 5 tournaments out west in what I call the true Midwest on the other side of the Mississippi River.
Right.
And then we're going to do 5 here. And in order to compete in the points race, you have to do 5 tournaments. Your best 5 will count.
Gotcha.
Well, one of those tournaments out of that 5 has to be from the other side of the river from where the other 4 are.
Oh boy.
So at least one of them. So I can do 3 out there and 2 out here or 1 out there, but I have to do at least 1 over there. And that makes it a true national trail. I mean, because you don't really have blue cats and flatheads that
everywhere.
Far, that far west. So that makes it a true national trail. Now, knowing me, if at all possible, I'll make all 10 of them. But I mean, that's part of my content. That's what I enjoy doing content on. That's what I enjoy doing myself. The competition aspect of it will really drive you to be a better angler. It truly will. Or you'll get tired of getting beat and go back to what you was doing before and be content with where you're at. But
Gene Tillman wants to know when and what landing is Santee.
So we can launch anywhere on Moultrie or Marion. I think that's the 2 lakes. Am I right? Is that the 2 lakes of Santee?
I believe.
Okay, so we can fish either one of those 2 lakes, but there's a restaurant with a boat ramp next to it where our actual check-in is. I'll post it on Facebook so y'all can keep up with it. And anybody that wants to come hang out, like if he's from down that way, when I post the check-in, check-out, he's welcome to come to the weigh-ins. Creole actually came to the last one and met up with us.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty cool. I got to actually meet up with him. And
I remember we ran into you at the James River, a year before last or last year? The year before last?
Yeah, that's actually, I went up there to fish against Green Machine for our national championship tournament.
Yeah.
Semifinals of it, I think it was.
I got you. Gene says he'd
That
like
was-
to come, so and maybe Gene keep an eye on Ryan's Facebook page or hit him up on Messenger.
Yeah, and if I'm not friends with you on Facebook, at least once a week I'll check my messenger requests. So I may not get back to you tomorrow, but I will get back to you.
By the way, that Jackie's about ready to fire me from my own Facebook because I had message requests from a long time ago that you get so many like, hey, we make custom shirts. Would you like us to, you get all these crazy ones that I just eventually I get in a bad habit of ignoring them. And she went in there and found a couple people I'd been looking to talk to, and I apologized and caught back up with them. But yeah, it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. Instagram, if you message me on there, I may never check it.
I don't even know when last time I looked at
all my posts on there actually auto post from Facebook, and I never open Instagram. So
yeah,
I need to probably do more with that because there's a lot of fishing community that's only on Instagram.
Right.
And I probably miss out on a lot because of that.
Yeah, I got you. So I know we just kind of got a rough draft about getting into all that. Let's talk about your journey now. Jumping in both feet first into the YouTube side of things, and basically chasing your dream of traveling and chasing titles and chasing catfish and becoming a better angler and videographer.
Yeah, and I still suck at that. The videographer part. I'm still having a lot of technical difficulties on that, but Justin Kayak Catfish is actually helping me a lot with that.
Right.
He comes off as a butthole a lot of times to a lot of people, but he's actually one of my big helpers. Him and Lindsay. If it wasn't for them two, I would not be where I am today. You can believe that. But.
Well, you said earlier that if it weren't for Lindsay, you wouldn't have. You'd show up at a boat ramp butt naked. So we are very thankful for Lindsay.
Yeah, she definitely makes it happen behind the scenes for sure. I actually going to do a Facebook post here in a little while. She's sitting here bagging parts for planer boards after she done worked all day. So,
oh boy,
she's a big help to me.
Yeah, Jerry Parker's bringing this up here, and I think we've all seen the picture. I'm going to share it here just in case. But Jerry's saying congratulations on that monster alligator gar. I don't remember if you ever did say what that thing weighed or measured.
I don't know what it weighed. It was over 6 foot. I did mark it on my kayak to get a measurement.
That is a giant fish.
Yeah, that's actually as far out of the water as I could hold it. If you look, I'm resting it on my leg.
Yeah.
The only way I got it that far is to slide it up my leg and hold it there on my knee. I don't know what it was kind of awkward to hold. And I mean, I'm not a small guy, so I'm 240 pounds and 6'5". So yeah. that was truly the fish of a lifetime.
Those are on my list of species of fish to catch, just because of just the raw, I guess, apex predator status that we love to chase.
It's absolutely unreal, the power of those fish. It's different than hooking a catfish. It's a different power. So when you hook a catfish, you get them straight up and down. You're at a dead pull off. You're at a tug of war.
Yeah.
With those fish, they'll give up and come towards you for a little while, and then they just get a burst of energy and they're gone. I mean, your drag is just smoking. And I caught them on my regular Muddy River catfish rods, 50-pound mono, 100-pound leader. We really shouldn't have been. I really shouldn't have caught those fish. One, I had a circle hook on there. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to use a small hook or a treble hook. There's a couple of different ways, none of which involve a 10-ounce circle hook. I was fishing directly on the bottom, no Santee rig, nothing. Straight up Carolina rig, cast it out on the bottom. They don't normally hit that way. I mean, that's kind of unconventional. We were catching black drum, which was a whole nother fun trip. Those things pull. But we had went out of Venice at the marina there, and the canal, excuse me, that goes out is tidal flow. It's a connector that goes from the Mississippi River out to the Gulf of Mexico. There's not any flow there if there's not tide. But Justin had took his pedal kayak down there because we did. There's like, you've been there. There's 2 boat ramps on a 200-mile stretch of river. With a kayak, that kills us out. That makes fishing rough. But we had found a lot of little places, where barges might tie off or this or that, where there was a road right next to the river and we could drag across the levee. And with my kayak, with the motor and batteries, that is an adventure. I mean, it really is. I was willing to do it if that's what I had to do, but I was trying to make a boat ramp work. I was pushing that real hard. And we get out in the current, and the tide is on a full-on outgoing tide. One of the craziest tide flips they've had all year, which makes fishing excellent. When the tide is ripping, the fishing is the best. Mm-hmm. Well, Justin couldn't do that much current in his pedal kayak. He was pedaling his guts out, and we weren't going anywhere. And with my 24-volt motor, I could just kick it up a notch and go on, and still go, a mile and a half an hour. So he goes back into the little marina there, and I just happened to see a buddy of mine down there, Brent Riddle, who was giving me some pointers of how to fish it. And he said, "Yeah, man, it's going to be fire today. You guys hit it perfect." I said, "Well, Justin can't be out here, and we're trying to shoot a video together." So that's one of them cases that content creation had to go above the actual fishing itself. I mean, I rarely let that happen.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, screw the video, I'm fishing. Which is why my YouTube isn't any better than it is, I think. But I go back in there and tell Justin what he had said. And he said, "Man, I just can't do it." I said, "Well, he's catching black drum." I said, "Well, we can shoot a black drum video." He's like, "That's my thoughts exactly." I said, "Well, we'll get our video and, make our money," because he's full-time YouTuber as well. So
right.
When you're out there, you're in grind mode. How do I make my money today?
Right.
So that's your number one thing on your mind, and it kind of changes life a little bit, I guess, on the water. And so we sat up there next to each other where we can talk back and forth, and we're catching them black drum and sail cats, and it's action for a video, and we're having a blast back and forth with each other, which to me makes the video. Us BSing and giving each other crap.
It does make it fun to watch.
Score, to me, that keeps people entertained. I would rather watch that. And so we're having a blast. Well, I hook a fish, and it's just giving me what for. And I'm like, this ain't no drum, Justin. I've hooked a monster catfish or some kind of saltwater something that we don't know what it is. And it gets close enough to me, and we're only in 6-7 foot of water. When it gets close to me, it comes up a little bit, and I see it as it goes by, and I'm just freaking out at that point. I mean, it's a gator gar, it's a gator gar. You got to come over here and get this on video. And, I'm trying to do my video and fight this fish. And I've really, I ain't trying to brag, but I catch a lot of bigger fish, and I'm fortunate for that. I'm grateful and appreciative. But this never happens. I don't shake for a fish. I don't get adrenaline rush over a fish. And my adrenaline's cranking, and I'm excited. And all I can say is, I've got a daggone dinosaur. I can't describe the feeling I got when I saw what that fish was.
I can only imagine.
And I'm trying to get Justin over there, and he's like, "You better not lose it before I get over there." And I'm like, "Dude, I got a 100-pound mono leader with a 6-foot fish here with teeth." I'm like, "You better hurry. This ain't supposed to happen." And I get it up beside the kayak, and he's over there, and he says, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, I've not thought that far into this, Justin. I'm going Facebook Live. That's what I'm doing. That was my response. And I'm fumbling with my phone, and I'm so tore up I can't even get Facebook. I can't even comprehend how to go live on Facebook at that point. I threw my phone down. I'm like, forget it. I ain't even worried about that. I've got the video. We'll get pictures. He says, well, there's a boat dock right there. How about that? You can get off on the boat dock, and the bank is like, it's a levee there. So it looks really steep. So I decided I'm going to get off on the boat dock and then go over to the bank and see if I can get down in the water with it. And that was a mess. trying to put a 100-pound fish in a rod holder on a kayak and climb off on a boat dock. I mean, Justin's like, this is about to be YouTube gold. You're going in the water one way or another. We're winning today.
Yeah.
Well, I make it to the boat dock, get the fish walked around. I take the rod and poke around, and I can get down in there. Then I'm thinking, well, there's alligators here. This place is, we've seen alligators today, and I'm about to climb in the water. Plus, I've got this fish with this mouthful of teeth that's bigger than me that I'm about to try to get down there and get a hold of. So this thing is, I mean, it was an experience. I finally get down there, and it took me a couple of tries to get hold of it and get brave enough to actually grab the fish, because I've never done this. Justin's never done this.
Right.
I don't know if this thing's going to turn around and take my arm off or what. But I finally did get down there, and y'all saw the picture, and got 100 pictures, and I did the whole PB landed thing on Facebook, and had a bunch of people real excited that was real disappointed. But and that was because I really couldn't get the pictures. Justin had them on his phone. We were doing a 4-hour video, so we couldn't pull the pictures and post them. But I was excited and wanted everybody to know, hey, I just did some amazing crap here.
Yeah, no kidding.
But finally got the pictures posted, and I think that actually that post with that fish got more likes than my wedding post. So,
well, we won't tell Lindsay that, but it was pretty exciting.
It was definitely the fish of a lifetime. I can't wait to get the video edited from my perspective and get it posted. Yeah.
Yeah, it was phenomenal to see. Can't even imagine what it'd be like going through that. So it's definitely on my list of fish to try to catch one day. Jeremy tells me he can help me get on one when the timing's right. So I want to make that happen one day.
Yeah, he wasn't aware that they had moved in yet. I guess it's kind of early for them to be moved into the places that I was finding them, because I saw a couple in one of Creole's bait spots he sent me to. That he can't get his boat into, but I can get my kayak into. And that was another experience while I was down there, just catching mullet. They're like a skipjack that won't eat a rod and reel bait. So you can imagine trying to cast net those. And he coached me through how to do it.
Yeah.
But until you actually get there and try it, which I'm that type of person anyway, you can tell me 100 times and I ain't going to understand until I actually do it. So, I get down there and catch some of them, and I called him everything in the book the first 2 hours I was trying to get them, because they weren't where I thought they should be or he thought they should be. They were in the area, but they weren't where I was looking. And then when I finally found them, they were right by where I was parked. But yeah, he helped me out a lot fishing that river and getting bait and all that type of stuff.
That's one of the greatest things about this YouTube community is no matter where you want to go in the country, just about, we could find somebody that has information in that area to kind of help give us all a leg up. And it just goes back and forth, whether you're traveling, north, south, east, or west, there's folks around somewhere that are willing to help you out a little bit. So
I'm fortunate enough in that it's not just the YouTube community that reaches out and tells me when they see that I'm going somewhere. I'm in with the King Cat Trail guys some, a lot of them. And a lot of them I lean on, before I go somewhere. I'm messaging them. And Paul Petrowski, actually messaged me while I was down there. And he said, hey, Kentucky boy to Kentucky boy, this is where I won that tournament at. If you can get in there, you'll win. You'll smoke them. And I spent 2 days trying to get into that area, and it's not feasibly possible with a kayak to travel that far.
I got you.
So it kind of hindered me on that. But that's just, and I get messages. That's just one instance. I mean, I get a lot of messages that way when I go somewhere new. Or Josh Thompson, he's hooked me up with bait so many times now.
Oh, yeah.
when I go down to Tennessee that I could never repay him for what he's done for me. So
yeah, we every time we're down there, we make sure we stop and see the Thompson Outdoors. But they're relocating right now, so we got to figure out where that Uchi marina is. But we'll make sure we stop there next time.
I should be going down there tomorrow with a load of planer boards and was hoping to be able to stop and get bait and fish a while I was down there. And that's probably not going to happen. I've got to get this brand took care of and delivered and then get home and run another 150 sets before I can leave for Santee Cooper to start pre-fishing.
So let's go ahead and dig into that. You're talking about the planer boards and the BCAT boards and kind of walk us through how, you lined yourself up with Daniel and Catfish Sumo to try to, we all know that we saw the post that, hey, what's up, Mark? We saw the post that, they were closing up shop and quitting the planer board business. And I got to be honest, they have a great reputation on the water. So, a lot of people were pretty disappointed at first, thinking, "Oh man, there goes one of the my favorite planer boards." And then, so kind of tell us how this evolved for you in this.
So I had a friend of mine about 3 years ago. I'm not going to put them out there or nothing.
That's fine.
That wanted to switch planer board brands because of some catfish drama that had happened at one of the tournaments and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was really just getting into pulling boards, and I had, a couple other sets, and they were both different brands, and I was pulling those. And so when this friend of mine said that they were switching brands, I said, "Well, what are you doing with your old ones?" They said, "You can have them." I was like, freaking cool, and so I loaded up on like 5 sets of brand new, basically BCAT boards, and was happy. I mean, like, great. These are so I actually ended up buying a couple of sets.
Right.
I was real happy with how they pulled and, the quality and everything of them. And so I ended up buying a couple more sets. Well, Brian actually saw that I was using them, through the YouTube and the Facebook posts and stuff. I had actually done a couple of posts. Hey, these are the best boards I've ever used, and wasn't even affiliated, didn't even know who Brian was. And
Right.
he reached out to me on Facebook Messenger and asked me to give him a call. And I said, well, yeah, sure. So I talked to Brian, and we talked for probably 2.5 hours that night, talking fishing. And he said, well, buddy, he said, the reason I reached out to you is I want to put you on the team. I was like, awesome. What do I got to do? He's like, exactly what you're doing now. And I said, well, so you don't expect me to do anything other than post like I have been? He's like, you've already done a lot, and
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I started posting a lot more, and he said, anytime you need boards or anything happens or whatever, you let me know, we'll take care of it. So I was on the team for probably 3 years. And then Brian calls me and he says, man, I'm just calling to give you a heads up. We're about to make an announcement that we're closing up BCAT and just wanted to give all our pro staff guys and girls a heads up, that we're
Right.
going to be doing that. And I said, well, I hate to hear that, man. What's up? And he's like, oh, nothing's up. We're just trying to slow down and have more time to fish, because he has a gig with a fabrication deal and
Mm-hmm.
and she works. I'm not sure what Kim does. She works a full-time job.
Right.
So between the two things, they had absolutely no time for anything other than work and planer boards, which is work on top of that I found out now.
Yeah.
And a couple people actually messaged me and said, hey, you're big into BCAT and stuff. Why don't you buy it? And I'm like, man, I don't have money to buy a company. I'm struggling paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. And
Right.
that was right during the time I had quit my job and all that. So I'm doing side jobs just to pay bills and busting my butt at YouTube to try to make that work. And Daniel had told me once before, if you ever hear any companies with good reputations and whatnot, let me know. And I finally clicked it in my brain and put two and two together, and I made a phone call to Daniel, and he said, absolutely. He said, I want in on that if possible. He said, you want to give me Brian's number or what? And I said, well, I can give you his number. I can call him and kind of lead the introduction and go from there, whatever. And kind of asked what I wanted out of the deal. And I'm like, well, I'd like to be a partner in it, you know, and all of it. But I understand that I don't have the money to put into it. So
Right.
we worked out this deal, and I called Brian, and me and Daniel went up and talked to Brian and met up with him. And it was about a 2-month ordeal getting it all lined up, but it all finally ended up clicking together. And now I'm the manufacturer, and Daniel is the advertising and the brains behind it, and the businessman, I guess you would say.
You're the entire logistics team. You're the fabrication and delivery and everything.
Yeah. And actually, I'm kind of the brainstormer. I'm trying to come up with some new and different stuff that hasn't really been done before. I can't talk about, but I'm working on some stuff. You can just say that.
I got you.
And I've got my wife here. She like big help, huge help. She's on me. Well, what do you got to get done tomorrow? And how can I help? And, you know, what do we need to do? And this and that and the other. She keeps me lined out instead of running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And
I tell you
she'll
what,
remind me, hey, you need to slow down on the boards. You got content you got to get out too, you know. And she's basically my agent at this point.
Well, I was getting ready to say that, you know, a good partner that understands your vision and has a passion for you following your dreams makes a huge. Jackie has been phenomenal with helping me grow and prioritize and try to stay on top of, you know, what's important to me. And, you know, she's got my back 100%, but it makes a huge difference when you got somebody in your corner that will help you and, you know, believes in you to push you.
And she fully believes that, you know, this dream of mine is possible. You know, she 100% believes I can make it happen. And
that's awesome.
And she sees the drive and the passion I have for it. So she really stands behind me. I mean, I think I've been home out of 3 weeks. I think this is my fifth night at the house. I mean, I do a lot of running on the road. Now, she was with me in Louisiana. I took her down, and she stayed with her grandma that she doesn't get to see down there. So that kind of added up. And, you know, we went down and stayed for the gathering this year, and we camped out and did that whole ordeal together. And she went with me last year to Kerr Lake and stayed there. We camped out and did a little mini getaway with me and her. Now, she didn't see me other than when it was dark, because, I mean, if I'm pre-fishing, it's daylight to dark every day. But yeah, she went with me. When we do that, she's the camp cook, and I come in off the water, wore out and smelling like fish and sweaty and nasty, and she's got food cooked and clothes laid out for me to go get a shower. And it really makes a difference. I mean,
so if you guys haven't figured out, he is laying it on thick right now, the brownie points, because Lindsay is standing in the background. I don't know if she's holding up cards.
She's in the bed back there already.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. But no, I really couldn't do what I do without her. I would not be where I am and would not be looking to go where I'm trying without her.
Absolutely, man. You could, you know, any one of us would not be capable of doing what you're doing without a partner that is in 100%. And you can tell that she's all in. River at 3030.
I got it up now. I got it up now.
I say he's pouring on thick, and she got to feel her ears burning.
I thought she was in there with the door closed so she couldn't hear me.
Well, hey, I'm going to change.
Yeah, guys, Freddie makes excellent boards. You won't hear a competition say that about another competition. Freddie's boards are awesome. I mean,
Freddie's already said in chat that BCAT are great boards.
Yeah.
And they really are. I've actually got both. I've got FOA rods, which are pretty much the same as Uncle Lou rods, right? Uncle Lou helped him with those. So it's almost the exact same board. And I've got 3 sets of the FOA boards, and 3 sets of BCAP boards. So when a while back, of course, a lot of we got broken into and all my stuff stolen. Brian just put a box together and sent it to me without a word. And he sent me black and orange. He actually sent me one of these multi-species boards right here, which I haven't been able to use yet because I don't remember how the holes go. I'll have to get with you on that. But just like dragon weights and all the other stuff out there, there's so many variety. There's so much variety. There's so many things to choose from. You don't have to be drama and put another company down or to bash another product to get your product sold. 9 times out of 10, man, if you do the opposite and earn respect, that's going to take you 10 times farther. I can tell you right now that me personally, there are several companies that make great products that I won't spend $1 with because of the way they conduct business or the personal side, that they
or even the way they allow their pro staff to act and do things on social media.
Yeah,
I'm pro staff for Steve Douglas, and if you think you can say one thing out of the way about anything on social media and get by with him, you're in bad shape, because that's his spiel. No smoking on camera, no drinking in public, no bashing another brand. He gives you a big spiel when you first sign on pro staff with him, and if you don't abide by it, he catches it, which he will, because he's always watching. He's dropping you, right then and there won't be any questions asked or any, oh, I'm sorry, it just happened.
Right.
None of that. You're done.
Yeah. Freddie's in there, said, "Don't make me cry, brother. Much love." And I'm in your corner, Ryan. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff right there that makes a big, like, I think it's last year, maybe the year before, Catfish Conference. You got Dirty South Dragon Weights, which we know we love, and Carolina Lake Weights, which is another great product, side by side, hanging out, talking to each other, nothing but love. And I was like, that's how it should be. You guys should, help each other out, lift each other up. There are enough anglers to go around. We don't have to bash and fight for customers. There's plenty of customers, and we're making new ones every day.
Yeah, I've got a saying that I kind of live by. There is no competition at the top. It's collaboration.
There you go.
And I mean, who can I use? 2 rod companies that are at the top. Mad Cats and Caleb Page.
Yeah.
Those guys are right there beside each other, and I've seen them shake each other's hand a couple of times. Them guys ain't out there bad mouthing each other. They're both from the same area, and they're not making commercials for each other, but
brotherhood over brand.
Exactly. I like that.
We've been saying that here for a little while now, and I believe it at 100%. Hey, there he is, man. Thompson's bait and tackle in the house. We must have had his ears burning as well. Not to mention fishermen who have all the brands just because. Yeah. See, I'm kind of the same way. I'm not a brand snob. Like, I've got 4 or 5 different rod companies represented on my boat, reels out the wazoo, from every different make and model. I just pick up what I like, and I love to try new stuff and see what I like and what I don't like. Now, there are certain things I've settled on over the years that I'm kind of stuck to, but it doesn't mean I won't try new things. But
and I'm bad for that. I'm bad for not doing that. I get stuff that I trust and I like, and I won't go another route because I have that trust and I put a lot of hours in, so
yes,
I know what my stuff can do, and I'm rough on gear. I really am. I beat stuff to death. If you ain't seen my kayak posts, I've been through a lot of stuff. And, when I was driving a pickup, my rod's laid in the bed of it, my reel's laid in the bed of it, my tackle was in it, my kayak was sitting out in the yard on a trailer. I'd come in from work and hook up and go and fish till dark and come back and unhook the trailer and drive to work with my rods and tackle in the back of the truck. 365 days a year, it didn't matter. But that's how I know my Muddy River rods will stand anything I throw at them, because I've done that for years. You know.
Yeah, but once you've got like it's no secret. My hook is Diachi D85. Now there are probably better hooks out there. I'm sure there are, but that's the hook I have the most confidence in over and over again. And confidence, well, confidence can make you or break you in a heartbeat when it comes to big fish.
And you probably learned about the Diachi from the same place I did. Chris Souders back in the day.
Chris Souders, absolutely. Yep, that's exactly where I learned it. And
and just you see him using it and it working, and that gives you faith in it in the first place to try it. And then you use it and hook a big fish with it, and it holds, and you're getting good hookup ratios, and you're like, oh, it worked for him and it's working for me. So why go to anything else?
Well, let me tell you something, Ron. There are a lot of people out there now that watch Ryan Bortz go out and use gear and use planer boards and use tackle, and they're saying, hey, man, Ryan works his butt off, and if it's what Ryan trusts, it's going to be good enough for me. So don't sell yourself short. You've got that clout. You've got that. Personally, myself, if I was picking a product and you told me, dude, I've used it, it works, I would try it, because we've all seen what you're capable of, what you do as an angler, and how hard you fish. You don't have time to screw around with gear that's half par. You put time in and use gear that you trust, and you're right up there, man, with the reputation of using good gear, and people want to use what you're using, or try it at least.
Well, that means a lot to me right there, coming from you, because I've watched your stuff to learn.
Most of my stuff has come, from down the line. I'm very blessed to have, guys like Chris Souders and Doc Lang and many, many others. And not to mention just the time on the water, me and Skip and Zach put a lot of time in the water, and, we try to share things that we feel that is worth sharing, that we picked up along the way. But
you mentioned Doc Lang. I haven't got to talk to him a whole lot. I've been around him a couple of times, but it was always a tournament check-in and all that. And the one time that I was around him a little bit, he showed up to one of our tournament check-ins, and I don't know I'm sure you know Skip Martin.
Yeah.
He's a Ohio guy too. Mm-hmm. He's a danger when he shows up in a tournament. He really is. Well, he's kind of got into our kayak tournaments, and we were in Alabama. We had a Texas Roadhouse. We had our tournament pre-check-in. You sign in, get your identifier, board checks, right, and that's the last opportunity to sign up for the tournament and all that. And I looked up, and here comes Skip, and Doc Lang was with him. And I'm like, oh no, Skip's already a danger, but now he's got Doc Lang with him right here. Two of the biggest OGs in the game ever. And Skip's been down here hanging out with him, because I knew Skip had been there 3 or 4 days. He'd been out there hanging out with Doc, getting the Doc's lessons, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a rough one right here. Because I'd had it rough pre-fishing that tournament. I'd been in, we were on Wilson and Pickwick was our 2 lakes to fish.
Right.
I've been down there a week and caught 2 fish. The biggest one was 30 inches. I was having it rough. And bait was kind of easy to get, so I wasn't wasting all my time on that. I was out there fishing hard. And I knew Justin had been down there and did well and pre-fishing at the first of the week. I knew some of the other guys were catching some fish. They weren't great fish, but they were fish. Adam Flegel, another one that when he shows up to our tournaments, he's a danger. He's going to be in the top of the game. And you get guys like that, and I'm sure the other guys see me as that way because I'm at the top, most every time.
I was getting ready to say the same thing.
You see them roll up and hey, I'm going to be competing against that guy. That guy's going to be at the top of his game today. And the more of them you see roll up, the less of a chance you feel like you have until you can block that out of your mind,
Right.
But I seen Skip roll up with Doc, and that's probably the biggest heart dropper I've ever had at a tournament when I saw them two roll up together. Because I mean, like I said, I've never talked to Doc a whole lot,
Right.
but Doc is a legend.
Yeah.
I mean, the man is the OG of what we do today.
Yeah.
And but I saw that, and Skip rolled up with him, and I was like, Skip, you just ruined my birthday right here. And my game plan, honestly, going into that tournament, I'd had such a rough pre-fishing trip, was I'm going to hit a ledge close to check-in because I don't want to spend any time driving to a spot. I went to one of the closest ramps to our check-in. I hit a channel ledge and drag it for 8 hours. Because Tennessee River, that will produce something eventually.
Yeah.
If you do it long enough, you will catch a fish,
Mm-hmm.
And the boy that was with me was like, I'm going with you if you're going to do it, because we'd pre-fished together, and he'd had a bad trip too.
Right.
And I got to talking to Justin at the tournament check-in, and he said, man, that's exactly where I'm going and what I had planned on doing. He said, when my video drops, that's exactly what I did pre-fishing. I said, well, I'll go hit another one. That's not a big deal. I'm not set on that for any reason other than it's close to here. He said,
Right.
no, I've got another spot. And the other spot he had, I'd tried to get to, but I got stuck in a back creek trying to fish the back of it, and couldn't get from the ramp in the back of the back creek out to where I wanted to fish because it got into a big shallow mud flat, and we couldn't even get kayaks through it. So I loaded back up, went all the way back around. I think it was a 45-minute drive to the other end of the back creek at the mouth of it. And we started fishing there and got in trot lines right off the rip. While we're hung in the trot lines, we look up and there's a big crazy storm blowing up. So we didn't fish that. We cut our lines and loaded up and left. Well, that was Justin's second spot, come to find out, when the tournament was over. He went there and won it. But I ended up taking third from the spot, just picking a spot on the map and dragging it on a ledge.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic for that. 2 fish pre-fishing. I think I caught 20 on tournament day. So the guy that finished second was fishing behind me. He had went to another spot, didn't do any good, and came in and dragged that ledge right behind me. So I mean, the fish were there to do better. I just passed them up, I guess.
Josh Thompson's in chat there, says he's going to need some BCAT boards. He might have to do some trading for skipjack. I imagine
we can definitely arrange that.
So, man, there's still a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. But you kind of alluded to one of the questions there is, Ryan, you're consistently at the top, first, second, third, you're right up there in all these tournaments, and you're traveling to areas you've either never fished or hardly ever fished before. And so when you're going to a new area, and like you said just a moment ago, and you decide I've got to come up with a fish, everything just got thrown out the window that I pre-fished, or pre-fishing was a flop. What is it that what are your top 3 things? They say, you know what, I've got to catch a good fish. And these are the 3 things that Ryan likes to do to catch a big fish when it comes time.
So, number one, I've already looked at Facebook, and I know what the locals are doing. So Facebook is, I'm not going to say it's the number 1 tournament tool before I go to a place, but it's a big one. It is a big one, because I can tell by where your boat's at are you fishing a shallow flat? Are you fishing a channel? You can start studying the backgrounds and tell by how the hills and stuff are laid out, basically to what somebody's fishing. Where I'm at is another big key player in that. So Alabama, if you're down that way, dragging shallow flats cannot be overlooked. So let's say I've been fishing channel ledges all week and killing it out in the deeper water, and then once the fish have shifted and moved, I'm probably going to pull up on one of them shallow flats, look for a shell bed on my 2D, and drag that. And when I quit seeing that shell bed, a lot of times if I've caught fish, I'll either double up and go back and drag it again, or I'll reel up and I'll go to the next shell bed, based off of what I saw on it.
Right.
Mid-tournament on the kayak, there's not a lot you can change up. You can be dragging shallow flats and run out and drag deeper water or suspend a channel ledge. But you've ate up a lot of time doing that because chances are a good channel spot's going to be an hour from a shell flat somewhere. You know, so you only got 8 hours, and depending on where you launch from, you may be using part of that to get back to check-in on time.
Yeah.
Before I get there, there's a lot of things, like I said, that I can look at. You know, are people dragging? Are they anchored with rods casted? Facebook, YouTube. I'll look at YouTube videos from the same time of year as when I'm going there. A lot of stuff I've done like that. That kind of gives me too. Sandy Cooper's coming up. If you watch YouTube videos of Sandy Cooper, 90% of them are people dragging shallow water, creek channel and shallow water. So before I even go there, I've already got probably 40 waypoints marked on my maps of where I can go find that. I've also got deeper stuff, you know, marked as well. But from what I see the weather patterns coming up as on the extended forecast and all that, fall shallow water bites should be fire. So that's probably where I'm going to be.
How much attention do you pay? Now, obviously, you know, you got to fish when you got to fish, right? The tournaments, they don't change for the weather. They don't change for the moon phase, and they don't change for the barometer. But how much do those things play a factor in what you do, or do you really pay much attention to the barometer, moon phase, of any of that?
Barometer, yes. If I've got pressure sky high, if that pressure's up 30, 31, something like that, you know, really high pressure bluebird skies, I actually will run my leaders and my floats with my baits a little closer to the bottom if I'm dragging. If I'm suspend fishing, I'll probably only do one crank up, you know, to get it up off the bottom a foot, because them fish like to hold tighter to the bottom in higher pressure. Or if you've got a cold front, you know, like this time of year, you'll have cold fronts move in, drives them fish deep in the mud.
Right.
That plays a big factor in whether I'm dragging at 0.2 or 0.7, you know. Normal dragging speed, you know, anywhere you go is 0.5. That's a starting point. Summertime, I'm usually 0.7, 0.8. This time of year, you know, like we've had a cold front. Now that we've had these warm days, those fish will push back up some. But if you've got that cold front coming in, get them baits in the mud, because that's where them fish are.
I tell you something.
Or a structure.
We've had barometer here and like 30.1, 30. Yeah, 30. I know it was over 30.6 or 5 yesterday, and it was over 30 some today. We caught 37 fish in the last 2 days, and none of them were in the mud.
None of them.
None.
And see, that goes to show you that it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, because I'm the same way. That's exactly what I expected. I didn't expect to really mark a lot of fish. I expected just to be dragging. I was just looking for bait. If there's bait in the area, they're feeding right now.
Yep,
I should be good. I was dragging shallow sand flats and warm water, and then we were spot locker anchored up at the dam, and every fish was like 90% of the fish were extremely aggressive takedowns. I mean, just smoked the rods and no mud on any of the fish. 37 fish, and we had no mud on any of them. And I'm like, that's not what I expected.
yeah, that's not, and that's what I tell everybody. Well, nobody told the fish they weren't supposed to be there today. You know, I mean, us as anglers will get locked in on stuff like I just said, you know, and those patterns where fish are supposed to be. But a lot of times people forget to tell the fish where they're supposed to be. So, you know, they're not there. And that's where I lean on my electronics really hard a lot of times. It really is. I know a lot of people can't afford good electronics, but even with just simple 2D on your Helix 9 Gen 1, you know, you can still use that and you can still find them fish.
What are you running? Because you just told me that you could find mussel beds, shell beds on 2D sonar. And I'm not a person. I haven't figured out how to use it yet, but I do have a good Humminbird now, but I've always just ran Garmin. But I've never been able to consistently find a mussel bed and with confidence.
So, and I mean, I can't do it with confidence strictly off the fish finder. So I should have alluded to that more. Now you're getting deep.
Okay, I'll say.
Now you're getting deep. on the 2D, I have mine set so the hardest returns are bright red.
Right.
The soft mud bottom will show up yellow-ish. So when I get on a shell bed, I'm looking for that hard, bright red return. But at the same time, I want it to be a smooth bottom on that hard return.
Yeah.
A rock bottom, usually you can see the rocks dip up and down. You can tell it's not a smooth, slick bottom. A mud or a sand bottom shows up, yellow or lighter colored. I'll put it that way.
I got you. Your big light bulb went off when you said use finding shell beds on your 2D. I'm like, ooh, I can't do that.
I can't confirm it's a shell bed until I'll let a sinker down and drag it across the bottom and feel it on a bumping rod or a good rod that you can feel. And then you can pretty much feel if it's a shell bed or if it's gravel. You can kind of feel that difference.
That's a good tip right there. I had not thought of that. Just drop a sinker down and kind of feel what you're dragging across. That's a great idea.
Bumping has taught me that.
Who that?
Bumping. That's one of them things I learned bumping.
Yeah.
You learn to tell what your bottom is real quick when you're bumping that sinker across it for 8 hours.
Oh, absolutely. And I love bump. So we went to Tennessee, last week or the week before? I can't remember. We went down. We fished almost every pool of the Tennessee River from Watts Bar clear down. Well, I ended up at Pickwick. And, and I bumped everything. And we caught a few fish here and there, but Watts Bar was, without a doubt, the most action that we had. Now, we weren't catching big fish. I think our biggest fish was 34, 35, 30-something pounds. But we were catching like 20, 25 fish, every setup. So we're like, okay.
So I can't figure this out. You go down to Chickamauga, you bump that dam, and you catch big fish consistently. When bump and bite is on, you can consistently catch big fish there. Watts Bar, I've bumped that dam several times. Never catch any really big fish, but I always get numbers. Yep. Chickamauga Lake has huge fish. I've caught monsters dragging there, but they don't push up to the dam like they do from Nickajack up to Chickamauga Dam. And there's only 50, 60 miles difference in area there.
Yep. And then you go to Nickajack Dam, and they're big there. Yeah.
And then Gunnersville, that's where I had my best day ever fishing at bumping. Right. Best day fishing ever, period. I set our tournament record this year there for the biggest bag, checked in a 3-fish bag, and the biggest fish ever checked into one of our events.
There you go.
And I mean, I knew I had that one on lock all week, though. I went there on Monday and ran into a guide down there, J.R. Hall.
Yeah.
When I ran into him down there, I was like, oh, we're probably in the right spot. And then I started fishing and started smacking big fish, and we decided to leave it alone after an hour. Yep. It was so good. I went back Wednesday and checked it, still fire. Went back Friday, the day before the tournament, checked it, still fire.
Yeah.
And nary a day I went there, I was there over an hour. So, and I saw Spencer Bauer fishing up there, pre-fishing up there. I knew that was the juice. When you see all the locals, which Spencer's not technically a local, he lives in Atlanta. But
he's got the connections. He knows where to be.
When you see that, you're onto the right track.
Yeah.
Well, I went down and fished the Elk River one day and fished down near the mouth of it. And man, it was fire. And I actually had a hard time deciding which one to go to, but I'd only done the elk one time and I did the dam 3 times. So I knew the dam was consistent. I didn't know if elk was or not. And I got up there in the first 3 minutes of the tournament at 7:03. I was hooked up with that 48-inch fish that was our record-setting fish. And I was like, oh, they're hit. Because at check-in, I'd already told the guys, most places we go, a trophy lake, our score, you're aiming for 120 or better. 120. If I go anywhere and do 120 and 3 fish, if I get beat with that, I got beat.
Right.
And that's just 3 40-inch fish, which is kind of our magic number.
Right.
Usually that'll win you about anywhere we go. I told them boys, I said, if y'all can't put up 120, you might as well not unload your kayak in the morning. I said, because I can guarantee you I got that by 9 o'clock, which is 2 hours in. And they said, you're that confident? I know I have these fish on lock. Never been so confident in my life. And I told them, I said, I can't submit my fish as I catch them because we don't like people sandbagging and not checking fish in as they catch them throughout the day.
Right.
I told them, I'm like, I'm not sandbagging. I just cannot submit fish. I do not have phone service up there. And I told them, I'm like, if I'm not back here by 5 o'clock, y'all come looking for me because I can't call for help.
Yeah.
And which I had a fishing partner with me, we were fishing together. And I went down to the truck at, I think it was 9:30. I had one bar at the boat ramp. I had like 130 inches. I said, well, I'm going to go down here and take a break. And I was trying to give up smoking, so I'd left my cigarettes in the truck. I'm like, I've got 130. I've earned a cigarette break and submit my fish while I got service down there. Well, I pulled up the thing to submit my fish, and Adam Flegel was fishing the Elk River. I knew where he was fishing. He was fishing the same area I did. I didn't tell him how to fish it, but he figured it out real quick. He had 128, which would have been a record-setting score in itself. I put my phone back in my pocket. I said, forget submitting these fish. I've got to go catch up, or I've got to go try to jump back up and gain some more of a lead because he's on my butt, And I ended up with 138 and a half, which is nobody thought we were going to do that. That's equivalent to I had around 180 pounds of fish and 3 fish.
Right.
That's unheard of in a boat tournament anywhere. So
yeah, we went the week after you, and I wanted to drag the Elk River, and Doc Lang had called me that morning, and he had launched at Decatur and went up and fished a nuke plant, which was also my game plan. I was going to launch Decatur, fish the nuke plant, go drag the Elk River. Well, Doc had beat me to it. He was a day before me. He said, there's so much grass, you cannot anchor at the nuke plant. He said, so I'm going to go drag the Elk River. He got a bunch of small fish, he said, in the Elk River. He said, but I couldn't catch anything over 10 pounds. So he was like, what? So we didn't go do it.
There was during Hurricane Francine.
Yeah.
It rained the entire week. That hurricane froze up on top of us and just kept, like it wasn't a hurricane anymore, but we still had 50-mile-an-hour wind and torrential downpours. And they had flooding issues, and it was a miserable week of fishing is what it was. But when you're catching fish like we did, you just grind it out. You don't quit for sure.
Right.
When you're catching 3 and 4 50s in a day and the occasional 60 and 70, you're not quitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that Elk River, a little secret to anybody watching, the Elk River is only good when you have rain and there's water flowing out of it. So that was the secret to us being down there. Now I had 5 or 6 locals tell me that. And I was like, oh, if they're there then, they're there the rest. No, they're not. But that hurricane had that river flowing, and it fired it up for us.
Yeah, it was a little muddy too.
And I don't mind muddy water catfish.
Yeah, me either.
A lot of people look for cleaner water to go fish, but I'll fish right in the muddy stuff.
When we came down, I think Chickamauga, not Chickamauga, Fort Loudon was completely mud. Mud. But Watts Bar was still pretty clean. By the time we went down, fished them other dams, went clear down to Pickwick, which we loaded up on skipjack at Pickwick. That was kind of our game plan, to load up with bait. And when we got back up to Watts Bar, it was complete mud. Just looked like a Frappuccino. It was foamy on the top and milky and brown, and fish didn't care. We was on fire, man. I don't know how many fish we caught, but we caught a lot of fish.
I spent the majority of my time in Alabama that week looking for bait. We were there below Wheeler Dam, and it was like war in the water with the skipjack busting shad, but nobody was catching them. I'd catch 3 or 4, maybe 5 in an evening, and that was it. Nobody was catching them, and ended up getting hooked up with an illegal bait dealer down there. because they're not allowed to sell bait. And I ended up talking to a guy at the ramp and to sell me some bait. And he had ended up going to Pickwick and getting.
Yep.
So that's how I ended up getting it.
We went to Pickwick that an evening, and we see them busting top of the water, and we caught a few. We said we need to be back here first thing in the morning, first light, and we ran all the way up to the hydro. I think we didn't know exactly what the rules were. We heard it was 50 per person, so we just stuck with that. But we caught 100 skipjack in about an hour and a half, and got out.
So you're in a weird spot there. Pickwick is in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you're allowed 100 per person per day.
Right.
But if you leave there and then go back to Alabama,
yep,
you can only have that 50 per person.
Yep, which is what we were doing. So we stuck to the 50 per person, which we didn't need more than 100 skipjack anyway to fish the next 2 or 3 days. So we just got what we needed.
So the bite was so hot when I went down there that I went through 40 in one day. That's how hot the bite was. And I was dragging the where the nuke plant's at there you were talking about.
Yeah.
I was dragging shell flats on the other side of the lake from it there.
No kidding.
But they weren't big fish. I got the occasional 40 with, 20 or 30 20 pounders that day.
Yeah.
Which is a great day fishing. But don't get me wrong, I'm glad to do it. Makes a great video. But it's not what I was looking for tournament day after I saw what the dam could do.
The grass wasn't that bad over there on the shallows?
So the current comes out. When the current comes through there, it pushes over toward the other side.
Yep.
So it pushes all that grass over there. So over where I was at was out of the current, which is probably why those small fish were there and no big fish were there.
Inside
and current, if I go somewhere and I have the opportunity to fish where there's current or fish a lake, I'm going where there's current. It makes the fish 10 times easier to figure out where they're going to be.
It does narrow things down. It makes them a little more predictable when you have flow. We fished this week a couple of days on the Ohio, which the last 2 days we fished on the Ohio, we had no flow, like nothing. And it makes it
dragging a lake.
Yep. The fish are just pretty much scattered everywhere. So it does make it extremely difficult. But yeah, you're right. Current will make fish a lot more predictable.
That's my biggest thing. And actually, Mike, he hasn't even really announced it yet, but our tournament in Santee Cooper, there's a lock and dam there that goes out to the is it the Coosa River?
Coosa, yeah.
All right. So technically, in the original boundaries, the Coosa River for the first 10 or 15 miles was in bounds. He looked and saw that, and I'm the only one in the kayak series that'll go bump a dam. There's 4 or 5 of us that'll do it. None of them fish the tournaments but me. So, and my partner Chris, he'll do it, but we're sitting side by side, but he went back and changed the boundaries on that to keep me from going down there and doing that.
Dirty. It's dirty.
So if he hadn't have done that, people would have said, well, the only reason you left that stretch open is so Ryan can bump the dam. So in order to keep controversy, he'd rather do it, just butt hurt me for a minute and keep it from a future problem coming about.
Yeah, I get that.
There's not many people in our series that would say anything about it, but there is a couple. And so those couple ruin it for me, I guess.
So I want to change gears here real quick and ask you a question about this.
Yeah. I won't go to a tournament without those.
How in the world? Explain to everybody what we're looking at here.
That is my tournament boxers. Yep.
Nothing
so
but
that,
Benjamin.
That originally started as a joke when Lindsay was packing my clothes. And I said, hey, make sure and pack those. They got money on them. They got to be good for the tournament. They got $100 bills on them.
Yeah.
And I actually went out and won that tournament.
No kidding.
She made the joke of, oh, I guess that's your lucky tournament underwear now. And I've not been to a tournament since without them. Literally would have drove home from Louisiana to get them if I hadn't had them.
There you go. So that answers the question that they believe in superstition and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
What about bananas? Is that a no-go for you?
I wish I had them in here. I have a so Dan Leake, if y'all know him from Catfish Sumo, he's got the ongoing banana on the boat thing. If you place an order with him, if I can't remember how it is, if you place an order over a certain amount of money, you get the bad luck killer, the banana slicer. So you're supposed to have the banana slicer to slice up all the bad juju on the boat. And so my thing is we were at a tournament in Tennessee last year. And I can't remember who it was. One of the guys that ate a banana, because Daniel had at the tournament check-in we had at Catfish Sumo. He sponsors our trail.
Yeah.
He had bananas out there as kind of like the running joke thing.
Right.
And one of the guys ate one and took it over there and threw it on my kayak or put it in my bait cooler or something. Well, I was sharing bait with some of the other anglers, and I went over to my kayak to get it and found it. And I'm like, aha, funny guys, watch this. And we were on Chickamauga. And I'd been there all week and just blistered the fish. I mean, incredible week. Couldn't go anywhere and not catch fish. It was one of them kind of trips. And so I took that banana and I opened up the hull of my kayak and I put it in there. I said, that's how confident I am, boys. I went out and won that tournament by like a mile in the first hour of it. And when I came back in to check in, I just opened it up and I said, here's my lucky banana. So I went out after that. I got on Amazon and ordered 100-pack of foam, 3-inch long EVA foam bananas.
Oh, man.
And I have actually been using those on my line as peg floats, as my good luck thing. I said, well, I may have to put a 13 on my kayak because everybody else's bad luck's turned into my good.
There you go.
So
yeah, we don't do the whole. I don't know how many fish we catch with bananas on the boat. I would catch fish with eating banana in your mouth, and still catching fish.
So that actually came from a superstition somewhere back in the pirate ship days or something.
Where they would load up bananas and get spiders. Yeah,
they get some kind of spiders or something in them and get bit, or I can't remember how it was it went, but
that's what it was. They would pick up a load of bananas and they would get spiders and stuff in them. Back then, you get bit by something and chance you didn't make it. They didn't have medicine like we do now. So
you didn't just run the urgent care 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah. So every time they got bananas, somebody got sick or died. So they just turned out the bananas must be bad luck, and it just kind of rolled downhill from there. And but yeah, it's fun. So,
but yeah, that all stemmed from her packing my clothes, like we was talking about earlier.
There you go.
And I said, well, they got $100 bills on them, so they got to be my good tournament underwear.
Well, that's a good thing she didn't put some like pink lacy panties or something in there for you to wear because you've been stuck wearing them every day.
Don't think if I didn't get some inside info that would help. That I'd be above it. That's kind of the running thing. I'll stop at nothing to catch my fish. So,
well, we all see that.
We did the Mississippi River here recently. I don't know that we were the first ones to target catfish on the Mississippi River from kayaks, but I do know I can't find it on YouTube, and I'm about to have the first YouTube video of it out. So
that'll be interesting. I can't wait.
But yeah, it'll be out. I'm kind of behind on videos. I think I've got 4 or 5 to post, so I'll probably cut back to one a week until I get back from South Carolina, instead of doing my tour. But Justin's actually started calling me Bottle Rocket Bortz because of it. I'll post videos hardcore for a little while and do 2 or 3 a week, and then get behind on planer boards and then won't post for a couple of weeks. So he says I'm like a bottle rocket. You get a spurt here and there.
Yeah, I think we're all like that. It's been a couple. It's been a couple years since I've done production videos. I've fallen off so bad. And the thing is, I still record content. I recorded yesterday and put a bunch of content together. I just haven't sat down and make the videos. I gotta get.
That's my issue with it. I won't take the time to sit down. If I just take a day and sit down and edit videos, the way I edit, because I don't do fancy editing,
right? And
I don't do more than one clip to record something or one try. If I'm doing an intro, what you see is what it took me to do it.
Yep.
If I screw up in it, I don't start over. I show them the screw up.
Yep.
Because nobody's perfect, and I want people to see that side too. Actually, I got a video coming out. I can't remember what order it goes in now, but
Right.
It's a video I did with Justin, and we had a really rough trip. Justin actually won't post his video of it.
Right.
But I want people to see they ain't none of us perfect. We all go out and have bad days. So
Yeah. Yeah. We
catch fish, don't get me wrong, but we struggled for them.
Yeah, Jackie and I, we went live the other night. I can't remember what night, Saturday or Sunday. We went out and fished, and it was terrible. But we were live anyway. People were like, a lot of folks don't go live until they're on fish. I'm like, this is what we call the truth. Some days you're just gonna get your butt kicked, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You could try everything in the book, which we tried everything, and it just wasn't happening. So we called it the truth.
Yeah.
So
it's a going live. I call it the bite killer. You can be on a hot bite and click that live button, and it's done.
I don't know how many times it goes both ways. I don't know how many times I've either been on fish, turned on the camera, fish stopped, or been on camera, not catching a thing, turn the camera off, and fish on.
As
soon as the tournament's over.
Prime example of that, our tournament in Louisiana. I had a crazy rough morning. I forgot my battery at the Airbnb. My rod rack broke off my kayak on the way there.
We saw that.
I didn't get to start fishing until 9:30. The tournament started at 7. I was having a rough day. Got to my spot, started catching fish. Hadn't caught small fish there all week. I'd hit it 2 or 3 times. I caught big fish there. Started catching small fish, never got a big bite. Started contemplating about moving to another spot that me and Mike had kind of pre-fished together a little bit. And he went back and done really well there. Started contemplating that. One of the small fish I caught, one of the 30 inchers, finned me in the leg, laying in the floor of the kayak, and it got me in the ankle. Thought I was going to have to go to the hospital over it. It would not stop bleeding. Ended up tying a wad of paper towels around it with my piece of my anchor rope to get it to quit bleeding. And Mike showed up, and I said, hey, man, my spot's dead. You want to go over to where you fished at the other day? Forget about the tournament and just fish together and have fun? He said, yeah. I said, good. I'm throwing the GoPro in the box. I'd be darned if we didn't get over there and I start catching fish, and ended up pulling my way back up to 4th place in the tournament. I mean, and I done threw the camera in the box. I said, forget the video, forget the tournament. I just want to fish and enjoy my last few hours here.
Yeah.
And that's all it took was me changing my mentality to start catching fish.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We all know, kind of like some of the other superstitions and stuff, obviously the fish have no idea what we're doing or not doing, camera, not camera, but man, it just sure seems that way sometimes.
Well, a lot of it comes, I don't know if any of y'all follow any of the stuff in the bass world or not, but that's the world I come from. So I still follow it a lot. I actually talked about doing some bass tournaments during the fall this year, but I just haven't had time. But G-Man, Gerald Swindell, does a lot of, positivity speaking and stuff like that. And his big thing is called PMA, positive mental attitude. And I've learned that contributes to your tournament day 70 to 80%. If you go out there in a good state of mind with confidence and put lines in the water with confidence, you're going to do well. If you go out there in a bad state of mind, oh man, my whole day's wrecked, I ain't caught fish all week, blah, 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 just, sad, sorry, bad mentality, you're not going to catch fish.
It could change. It definitely has a way to change your day and change your outlook on whether what you're doing and how you perform.
If you keep the positive mental attitude, even if you have a bad day, you still had a good time. So
that's true. That's basically what we went through. Greg said he was watching us the other night when we were live. We went home. It's like we didn't catch fish, but it was one of the best. One of our favorite, not favorite, but it was a great day of fishing. We had a good time. We relaxed. We got to try a lot of new things. And Ari, we heard she'd never fished, and I've only fished a couple times, and it didn't pan out. We didn't put fish in the boat, but we still enjoyed ourselves and had a good time.
Well, you were on the Ohio River too, so that is the toughest river to fish I've ever been on in my life.
It's especially up in this area. You get up here, you get far north as we are. It's tough. Now like I said, we caught 22 fish yesterday and caught 15 fish today. And I still the biggest fish out of all those was 25 or 26 pounds.
Which is, you may fish the Ohio River. I mean, the average fisherman may go there every weekend for a year and not catch anything bigger than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys do, but you guys are a little above the norm. I'll put it that way.
We fish a lot. That's all I can say. We put a
Yeah.
lot of time in the water. But yeah, we caught a lot of fish yesterday. All 22 fish. I bet only one fish was under 10 pounds the entire day. So I mean, we had decent fish, but we couldn't get that big fish bite. But
Next summer, you got to get down here and fish the McAlpine area with me.
oh yeah,
It's a magical place during the couple of months out of the year.
no kidding.
Yeah,
I'm down. I'm down. All right, man. We made it almost to 9:30 already. I just looked at the clock a second ago. I was like, holy crap.
yeah.
Of course, part of it I was absent, so that might be the reason why it seems like it went by so fast. But anybody got any questions? Go ahead.
I got to get right back to work here. I've got 300 more planer board arms to make before I go to bed.
Oh man. Well, Ryan, man, I sure do appreciate you taking the time out to hang out with us. We could probably do this clear till midnight, but I know you got to get busy, and I got to get out of here too. But thanks for spending your time with us and hanging out. I'll be sure to be back in touch with you and bug your ears some more. But from right here, appreciate all you guys tuning in from chat, keeping it hopping tonight. Appreciate y'all being here. And we'll see you here next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, everybody.